Hello and welcome to student orientation video to kind of get you familiar with the learning management system. Here at MSU, we use Desire2Learn as our learning management system. So once you log in to D2L, your page is going to look like this. There are a few things that you need to know about what is on this page. The first thing is the yellow bar across the top. That's called the mini bar. And I'm going to go through some settings that you need to set up. As you look at the page, the news items, this is where I'm going to post things that are happening at the organization level. For example, if the server has to be down for any reason, I will post it there. If there are deadlines that are approaching for your university-wide, then I may post those there. Also, just helpful information. For example, this link is probably going to show up there once I finish this onboarding. The next widget is called the courses widget, and any course that you are currently enrolled in should be in this list. There's also a task widget, and you can add tasks to that, so you can kind of keep a list of what you need to finish and what you still have to do. Over on the right-hand side of your screen is the calendar tool. You'll notice that right now all that shows up in this one, because I'm not really enrolled in any classes, are university-wide events. So when you're on your org page, the only things that will be there are things that affect the entire university. Once you actually log into a course, so mine says Crystal's Business Communication course here, once you click on a course, then what shows up on that calendar are events that are specific to that course. If you scroll down your page, there are two very important links. The first one says Online D2L Documentation. If you click on that link, it's going to open up official Desire2Learn help. And then if you click on the learning environment, it allows you to kind of scroll through some of the things that students have most trouble with, accessibility, checklist, class list, discussions, so forth. The next thing is probably even more important than that, though, and it is the Report a Problem link. If you click on that, it's going to take you to a different website that is our online problem report form. If you have trouble logging in, which obviously you don't because you're already logged in to access this video, but if you do have trouble with anything within your course, you can fill this out and send it to Distance Ed. We answer these up until about 10 o'clock at night, and we answer them on the weekends from 8 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. So if you send something after 10, there's a good chance it's going to get answered the following morning. And that comes to everyone that works in Distance Ed. So typically we're fairly good at getting back in a timely manner if you have issues. My other thing I'm going to say about this page is fill it out completely, because if we're helping you with an issue, it helps us to know what course you're talking about, who your professor is, so forth. Back to the home page. I'm going to scroll back up to the top, and I'm going to talk to you about the mini bar. The first link here is D2L Home. If you are within a course, if you click on D2L Home, it will take you back to this organization page, which is your main page. The next link is called Select a Course, and if you pull that down, it's going to have a list of all of your courses. You're never going to have more than probably 3 or 4 courses in that list, possibly 5. But if you click on the little push pin to the right-hand side, it will sort those courses at the top of the list. For example, if you have 5 courses and only one of those is a full internet course, you might want to click on the push pin, and then that course will always be the one that shows up at the top. So that's going to be your Select a Course. If you continue across, the next little icon is your message alert. It's going to have a little red dot on it if you have an email from a fellow student or your professor or anyone else. If it doesn't have a dot, that just says you don't have new messages. But if there is a dot there, it says that should tell you that there are messages that you have not read yet. The next thing is update alerts. Things that show up here are news items. For example, if I posted that the server was going to be down, that's going to show up in your news, and it's also going to show up as a little red dot here to tell you, hey, there's new information out there that you haven't addressed yet. The next little icon is chatter. You can pop that up, and it's an instant message. So if you have other classmates that are online, you can kind of just message back and forth there. Primarily what I'm wanting to talk about today is over on the far right-hand side, there is a pull-down menu. Mine says CB Test just because I'm not in there with my full name. But if you click on that and pull that down, you're going to have several options, and we're going to go through those. Number 1 is your profile. If you pop up that window, you'll notice that you can change your picture, and you can put a nickname. Like if you don't go by your name as you are registered, you can put a different nickname in there. We have a place for Facebook or Twitter, and then you can also put an external email contact information. You don't have to fill out any of these, but if you would like your classmates or really anyone that uses D2L to have this information, you can fill this out and then they can access it. If you put your picture in, I would like to caution you to use an appropriate picture, because this picture also shows up in your professor's rosters. And I'll talk about the roster here in just a second. So if they're doing class lists or seating charts or whatever picture you put here is what's going to show up in that roster for them. And then you click Save and Close. And I'm just going to, so if you go back up to the far right-hand corner and pull down again, the next thing is notifications. One of the really great things about Desire2Learn is it emails information in and out of the system. No longer have to log into D2L to see what it is that's going on in your courses. Depending on how you set this information, it can text you, it can email you, it can tell you all sorts of things. So if you'll go to email address, first of all, you want to choose what email you want your notifications to come to. If you use your MSU email, you might make sure that's what it is. Whatever email account that you check the most, that's the email you're going to want here. It's going to default to whatever email is the email that you use to register through WebWorld. So if that is no longer a current email address, or if you just want it to come somewhere else, then you can click on Change Your Email Settings and it will pop up a little window. You will select Use Custom Email and then type the new email in and save. The next thing you can also do is you can register your mobile phone. I know that many people like to get notifications through their phone instead of their email. So to do that, you just click on Register Your Mobile. You're going to select your country. You're going to select what mobile carrier you use, and then you're going to type in your mobile number and do Save. And then it's going to send you a code that will allow you to register your mobile so that you get text messages. So then you have to decide, now that I have done that, what do I want to come to my phone? What do I want to come to my email? A summary of activity will give you kind of an overall summary of what is going on in your course. And you can get that through email, and you can choose to get it never, or you can choose to get one daily. If you're in your online courses a lot, you may not care to have this, but if you're counting on the system to notify you when things are going on, this is a helpful selection to make. Okay, instant notifications. As I said, D2L will message you if you select to be messaged when you have new things going on in your courses. And this is just a preference. Whatever you set on this page is just relevant to your learning management system. It's not anyone else's. So if you want messages, notifications when you get discussions, you can select that either through email, I suppose. The next thing is Dropbox. Dropbox are your assignments that your professor sets. So if you have a professor and you have a Dropbox assignment that is due in 2 days, you can elect to either get email notification or text notification of that. It's just kind of a way to remind you, hey, this is coming up. You can go through and you can select to have your grade items sent to you. So if you have taken an exam and you want to know what you make on that exam as soon as you take it and it's graded, you can select that. Grade items updated. So if a professor changes an exam grade or an assignment grade or whatever, then that you can be notified of that. News items updated, new news items available, and quizzes. So if you have a quiz that's due in a couple of days, you can elect to be notified of that just so you don't accidentally forget. The next little option here is customize notifications. And again, this is just preference. What do you want to be notified of? And you can select if you want past courses to send notifications, future courses, inactive, so forth. You can also exclude some courses. Like if you know if there's an online course that you're in all the time and you just don't want the headache of having to see those notifications, you can exclude those courses from the things that you are notified about. When you have that set the way you want it, all you have to do is click on Save, and it will take you back to the notifications page, the main page. And then if you go up in the right-hand corner again and pull down, the next selection is Account Settings. So you can click on Account Settings, and this is how your learning management system appears to you. For example, it defaults to this font and this size. But if you have vision issues or you want a bigger size, then you can make that size bigger, and you'll notice now that that sentence is bigger. This does not change anyone's learning management system except for yours. So it really can appear however you want. You have some different font options, so you don't choose what you can see, what displays the best for you. The rest of this is mostly things that are just standard settings. For example, it defaults to English. It's the 12-hour clock unless you like military time, and then you can change that. It defaults to the first day of the week and the date, the way the data is formatted, the way numbers are formatted. And then there's a time zone setting. So I know that many of you aren't necessarily in Central Time, but that's what it defaults to. So if you're somewhere else in a different time zone, then you can go ahead and set that so your assignments reflect when things are really due for you and not necessarily Central Time. The next thing says signing in. In D2L, when you are signed in, it is going to appear, everywhere your name appears is going to appear with a little green dot beside it. And all that does is tell your professor that you're online. It tells your fellow classmates that you're online. So if you're online for some reason and don't want to appear that you're online, you can select appear offline, always appear offline. And again, that's just up to you and how you want to set it. Okay, so then you can do save if you make changes there. And then the next tab across the top is the discussions tab. So if you click on the discussions tab, it's going to pop up just some settings. You can choose whether to make things threaded or unthreaded, whether it's grid style or reading style, just sort of the way you want your discussion to appear. And then you can do save. And then the next tab is an important one. It's email. As I said earlier, D2L will allow you to send email in and out of the learning management system, and that has not been the case for us until recently. D2L allows you to reply within D2L and then to be set where that information will come to your external email, whatever you've set that to be. For example, email options. Do you want to track activity for messages sent to internal email addresses? You can select that if you'd like. You can select to include original message in email replies, and then you can send a copy of each outgoing message to your external email. For example, if I'm in D2L and I'm sending my professor an email and I type in their email address and I send it, this is going to send a copy of what I have sent them to the email address that I have set, my external email address. And whether that's important to you or not, you just have to decide and set that up. Then you can also choose to save a copy of each outgoing message into your sent folder, and then you can set a reply to email address. For example, if I type in my MSU email address and I compose an email in D2L and send it, when the person replies to that email, it will come to my MSU email address. You can set up a signature. If you want to go ahead and put your name and, your cell phone number or a different email address or just sort of contact information, you can do that, and that will be added at the end of every email that you send. There are some display options. D2L has an email address book. Unlike past learning management systems where you could only email fellow students or professors that were in your class, D2L is a global tool. So if you have a friend that is in another section of a class that you're taking, you can email them. As long as you can search for their name, as long as you know their name, you can search for it and email them. So you can select whether you want to only show internal email or external email. And the definition of that is internal is the D2L email and external is whatever other email they have set. And then you can elect to forward here. So if you only have your internal email, but you want to make sure that you get those emails to your external account just to make sure you don't miss something, this is where you would set that, and then you would type in your external email address. And then you can decide, once that's forwarded, do you want it deleted from your D2L email or do you want it to remain in there? And then you'll just do save and close, and that kind of goes through all of our settings. Again, like I said, this is for every class. This is global. This is not class specific. And then if you decide you want to log out, you can log out right here.